It's just occurred to me we really haven't had a completely successful test of this equipment.
I blame myself.
So do I.
Well, no sense worrying about it now.
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
Yeah. Now let's get ready. Switch me on. I don't think you're crazy.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
What's going on, everybody? It's a very awesome edition of the Ghostheads radio show. My name is Ted, aka Steady. This is going to be my non-spoiler review of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. However, I don't want to do this alone. So, welcoming back my partner in crime and yours, the one, the only, Matty B. What's going on, sir?
Hey man, it's going good. How could you not be happy during this time? I just left the mall. We had to do some quick shopping for a vacation coming up, and there's a theater in there, and I saw so many folks in Ghostbusters gear walking by, asking if they've seen it. They said, "Hey, I'm looking to go see it. I can't wait," and I'm excited for them to experience it because while it wasn't my favorite thing of all time, we'll get into that later. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a great segue into what the future can be. So it was good to see Ghostheads out and about for this weekend.
Absolutely. Real quick, lot of people to thank and talk about, and then we're gonna just do a quick non-spoiler reaction together. I've done some stuff already. Shout out to the Texas Rangers from Dallas, the Austin Ghostbusters, the San Antonio Ghostbusters, who are all at the Texas premiere on Tuesday, and then shout out to everybody who came out to the Ghostheads Radio Countdown City Geeks San Antonio premiere on Wednesday. That was Wednesday. The first one was Tuesday. That one was Wednesday. We all had a blast. It was incredible. Everybody, like 99% of the people I talked to after the movie, loved it. And so we're going to talk about it real quick because we had to get out here pretty soon. But we will be back next week. Also, next week, the release of the Ghostbusters Back in Town comic. Ghostheads Radio is going to have an exclusive review, non-spoiler, of course, dropping in the next day or two. Also, we have some interviews lined up that I can't wait to announce. They're going to be fantastic. And then we're also going to do a spoiler review of the movie probably Monday. We just want to give some folks some time to see it before we actually get into the details. If you're in the chat, say what's up. Let's give it a rating. Our rating scale is simple: 1 to 5. 1 being, I don't want to say 2016, but 1 being a movie you really, really don't like, and then 5 being Ghostbusters 84. That's just perfect, flawless movie. So, Matty B, I know you caught the Houston screening.
Yes,
That was really awesome. I want you to tell the folks at home your initial reaction walking out the theater. What did you think?
I thought, I thought this was pretty good. I didn't have any negative feelings or some things that I wish, kind of didn't play out the way that they did. But I left thinking, wow, Bill Murray didn't phone it in. Wow. Some of the jokes in here were really funny. Wow, we really progressed in some of this world building pretty fast. And so we're not going to get into all of that, but I still think there's a certain character that has always been underutilized that was still very heavily underutilized in this film. And so I'll leave y'all to figure that out. And let us know what you think about that. I don't know if you agree, Ted. I thought there was a particular character heavily underutilized, but whatever. I thought it was good. I can't do a 5 for me. It's a little too narrow of a window. I would say 10 for me. I texted you afterwards. That's 7.3, and I'm standing by it.
I love it. I saw it twice in 2 days, as I mentioned. I was like thrilled by my first showing or first viewing, and I was wondering if like, am I gonna really, am I gonna laugh at all these jokes a second time around? Maybe it was just the event, the people, the environment that I was in. I was like, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I had a lot of fun in this movie. And I know kind of some of the criticisms of Afterlife, even though I loved Afterlife, some of the criticisms were like, hey, it was kind of a downer. It wasn't a lot of comedy in it, wasn't a lot of humor. So I'm like, cool. Like these guys should now enjoy what we saw because that was entertaining, fun, having just a blast throughout. Watch it the second time, and like 90% of the jokes still hit for me. They still worked. And then when you're able to kind of watch it on the second time, you're able to kind of see the writer's perspective and how they are building towards that final act. And so, seeing the elements of what they're establishing in the first act and how they come about in the final act, it even holds. It's even more of a tighter script for me. So, by all means, this is not like a perfect movie. It's not going to beat 84, but I really enjoyed it. Like Afterlife, I was emotionally invested in that one, and even though it wasn't as fun or as humorous, maybe this one gave me this other spectrum where like this is fun, this is hilarious, and we're getting more action sequences in this one than Afterlife.
Yeah, and I
Granted,
think, yeah, but it's like for me, when I left this movie, and I liked watching Afterlife in the theaters. I'm not like I really loved Afterlife guy. I love the fact that the Ghostbusters were coming back. That's really what that movie gave to me. I've maybe watched that movie 3 times since I saw it in the theaters. This is one of those where I think this is going to be a multiple watch movie for me. I can go back to this one, 5, 10, 12 times, right? But when we think about that, it's interesting because, we have to take the decades into consideration, how long I've been alive, which is as of recently 34. So happy birthday to me.
happy
But
birthday.
I've seen Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, I don't know, over under 1 million times. So that's what I'm kind of judging these movies on. And I'm
Sure.
starting to realize that that's not fair. And so I think that the magic that was created, especially in 84, the second one had its own critiques, right? But this follow up in what is it?
Frozen Empire.
Yeah, Frozen Empire is one of the. I will watch this more than I watched Afterlife for sure. Little Aiden in the bag. Tell him I got some shoes for
Says he got some shoes for you.
him.
No, I agree with that, man. For anybody who might be thinking of comparing it to the originals, comedy wasn't the same back then as it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Horror is not the same in the 80s as it is now. Stuff that scared us in the 80s doesn't really hold up these days. A few exceptions included. But yeah, it's definitely not fair to kind of compare the two. I even have a hard time comparing Afterlife to this because, as I mentioned, Afterlife, I was like 1000% emotionally invested in what was happening, and I went through a roller coaster of emotions that I did not expect to go through watching a Ghostbusters movie. And then this one is just different side of the spectrum. So I really can't. It's really hard to compare the two. But this one is more busting ghost, more comedy. We're back in New York, Firehouse, Ecto left and right. For people who wanted the OGs to be having a bigger presence, you're going to get that in this one. You're going to get the OGs doing things in this movie, being part of the plot, trying to solve the problems, and yeah, I think it's great. Can I just say, without spoiling anything, of course, non-spoiler, Kumail Nanjiani, I think he's a perfect fit for this one. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love his comedic timing. I love his humor. The content they gave him was fantastic. I think he was the perfect. I think he was perfect for this movie. And then in doing my research, you come to find out he's actually like a ghost head. He's a real life ghost head. He's seen every episode of the animated series. Like he's living the dream right now, and so it's really awesome. There's a great sort of video I put together of Kumail on our social media. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out and you'll understand what I'm saying. Um, hashtag Team Terry. Her and Bryce are on the way to an event, getting boots on the ground, spreading the good word. And Dawn's in the chat saying, I agree with your take 100%. Not as emotional as Afterlife. Not goosebumps worthy like Afterlife, but it got back to some of the original tacky humor. Bill Murray proves he can still sell a one liner like no one else.
Agreed. Bill
Absolutely.
Murray, I mean, I've been kind of a hater on Bill Murray. As far, not just as a person or as an actor, but as far as Ghostbusters goes, I think that he sold us short on a lot of things. But he did not phone this in. So if you have not seen this movie yet and you're a fan of Dr. Venkman, this is like almost prime Venkman. He does really, really well. Several of the scenes that I laughed the most at were his scenes, and we get a really good callbacks. Um, and when they did those things, it was actually really well timed because I know that Jason and Gil they had to introduce us to this new world, and they had to introduce us to these new characters and ideas or concepts. But the OG stuff is sprinkled nicely in between. So right when you think you're getting off or some, this doesn't feel Ghostbusters to me. It comes right back with an OG character moment. So when you're watching, don't worry, don't fret. Wait, just around the corner, there's going to be something that really perks you up.
You and I, we've talked about a lot of sequels, and there's like almost a rule book with sequels. You gotta kind of raise the stakes from the previous film. You have to evolve the technology, but not too much. But you have to evolve the technology, and you have to build on the lore. And like those three things are all crucial in making a successful sequel. And I feel like they
They
checked the
did a great
boxes on
job.
all those.
They
Yeah,
did a great job.
they did exactly what you expected them to, wanted them to, not expected, wanted them to in creating a sequel. We can't go too far in one direction. A lot of franchises have done that, and that usually hurts the fan base or whatever else the franchise. But no, this one they kind of stuck to their guns. They did things that they needed to. The story is interesting. It's intriguing, and I love the lore building they did. I want to actually look up some of the historical things they're referencing to see like how much do they pull from it, because it is quite good. So everybody pay attention to the lore that they're introducing and building. And I think by the end of this movie, even though it's not really highlighted, there's a lot of questions. I think this movie ends with a lot of questions, and it's not
Man, I want
setting
to
up a.
say so much as you're going through this, but
I
I
know,
can't.
right?
I can't. So we have to wait till Monday. But
We have to
there's
wait.
several parts of this that add a historical lore to ghost busting in general that take this as almost like a historical precedent. The chosen ones have to come every once in a while to save the world. And in one way or another, it's always been done a particular way. And the certain way that they filmed that and they showed us that history is phenomenal. It is really good, and I know it. I could just sense Dan Aykroyd's hands all over it because he's that type of guy. I know that Gil and Jason had to have went to him because some of the way that they explain that history, only Dan Aykroyd could come up with that synopsis or that way of doing it. So there's a lot of this that's really cool and fun. Even like I know this might sound corny, some people might not like this. Even like some like '90s like Full House moments where it's like, you know, Uncle Jesse has to go talk to Michelle about something and really get her out of her show or what. I'm not going to go too deep, but like there's some of those moments that are still nostalgic even from some of those early '90s sitcoms that I think a lot of folks who've seen the movie haven't really referenced. But to me, it felt like at certain moments, it was like there's full house moments, but the sentimental ones that stuck with you.
We got a couple of minutes left, and we're gonna get to our review real quick. So, if you are watching right now, and shout out to the Cherryland Ghostbusters who just shared the stream. Those folks are awesome. 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the lowest you can go, 5 being Ghostbusters 84. Matty B, want to hear from you, sir, and we want to hear from y'all as well. Drop your own ratings in the chat. We want to hear what you guys thought about it. AJ says 4. Matty, what about you, man?
I mean, again, 5, Ted, we got to stretch that to 10. But I would say, I guess based on my 7.3 rating, it would be a 3.8. If I'm not really great at math, but I would think if my 7.3 on a 10, it's a 3.8.
I gotcha. I'm kind of close to where you at. I'm at a 4.25. I want to say give Afterlife close to a 4.5. Might it be this one? Just below that. I don't have any major there's no deal breakers for me. I think the final act should have been slightly longer. I needed a little bit more drama. I don't want to give too much away. Slightly longer final act. Loved pretty much everything else. I think the stakes were raised, but I also wanted to sort of feel more of the danger, if that makes any sense. This is sort of like a humanity ending type event, and just want to see kind of more of that. But solid script, solid story. They juggled the characters well. Everybody had a little bit of time to shine. Love me what they did with Slimer. I really enjoyed a lot of this. I want to see what they cut out because I know a lot of fans are talking about that. I want to see what they cut out because there's some stuff in the trailer with Janine, with Bill Murray. There's some stills that we got from Bill Murray that we didn't see.
Well, let's bring back DVD releases. If bring back DVD releases, and as a part of buying the DVD, you get everything that was in there. But
I gotcha. That brings our overall Geekcast rating for a 4.025 out of 5. Not too shabby, as I always say. Real quick, I'll go through these final comments. Don says, I feel they upped the creep factor significantly on the characters used, but also balance and some great humor and a dash of nostalgia. I completely agree. And for anybody who says they don't like nostalgia, we're in the firehouse, we're in New York, we're visiting locations that we've been to before in this universe. You're going to see things referenced. You just have to. It's expected. Terry says Dan Aykroyd has a personal history of paranormal background. I think this movie maybe increases awareness of these things for the general public. I agree. I also put out there a behind the scenes photo of Ray's occult, and it has Ray and Kumail's character in there. Take a look at it if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of great references. Ouija boards, crystal skulls, there's all kinds of things in that shot. So go see what you can spot. Don says, yes, there's amazing film footage on that cutting room floor. Last thing that I'll say that I thought was pretty good. It's also in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. Library Ghost, right? Library Ghost is in the trailer. It turns out while developing stuff, somebody at Sony came across a logbook with some lost footage. They found the footage. It ended up being a real quick cut of the Library Ghost that was not used. It had not been used, or this reel of film had not been seen in 40 years, since 84. And so they found it. They saw it was opening a time capsule, and they used that footage to basically recreate one of the scenes featuring the Library Ghost. So shout out to Gil and Jason for just going all out. So
I still think it's time to bust her ass. But
is she hurting anybody? Nobody's looking at part of the library anyway.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You can't go down to that hidden part. But No, this has been a good show, Ted. I'm glad that we're back. Sorry for my absence for some time, but life gets in the way, folks. But we're back on Monday, and there's some things that I want to talk about. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, do not attend.
Spoiler review coming very soon. We want all you guys to watch it if you are in a group, a chapter across the U.S. or around the world, right? Get your team out there, get your boots on the ground, get people into the theaters because they all deserve to see this movie. If you have issues, that's fine. That's great. But we're enjoying it. We're loving it. It's a solid flick. Everybody who's in it, they worked hard. It's hilarious. I laughed so much, and I can't wait to talk about my favorite jokes in the movie. One of them is a '90s band reference that I think got the biggest laugh in my theater, and it's like really just for millennials. So like who this is targeted for. So I really appreciated sort of the some of the humor they dropped in this. Review of the issue 1 comic Back in Town coming soon. Our spoiler review is next week. We also have exclusive interviews with some of the cast and some of the crew, all coming. It's going to be a blast. Thank you guys for watching. We love you all. Ghostbusters is back in theaters again. Let's all enjoy it and celebrate. For the Ghostbusters Radio Show, my name is Ted, aka Steady, and with me is my partner in crime, the one and the only Maddie B.
Good to see you guys. See you soon.
Take it easy.